Good evening, everyone. This is Patricia here again, and tonight we are going to be looking into security operations and how it aligns with the industry standard um, and guidelines within the SOC field. Our learning objective today in this session, you will learn what a Security Operations Center SOC analyst is and why it exists, the different roles and tiers within the SOC team, why SOCs are crucial in defending organizations, how SOC aligns with industry framework like CISSP. I mentioned that, I think, the week before, how to visually map SOC operations and participate in a simulated team exercise. So the visual mapping will be part of the task that you're going to be doing. Moving forward, so what is a Security Operations Center? I don't have a visual image for you. However, if you've ever been to, uh, I don't know if you've been to uh, an environment like a corporate environment where you have, I'm just trying to help you visualize what it looks like, where you have very large screens, right in front, maybe in the center of the operations department. I know that I've seen that in some banking operations department, but here, and of course, your access into that particular room will be restricted because it's only for privileged access users. So there's a physical um, security barrier in place. You would probably need to make use of two or three different levels depending on what access you have. And you would have, if eventually you have access into the place, it's when you get in there, it's just all going to be full of screens, very large screens. And those screens are not just there for display. They are screens that help to um, do some monitoring work. They give that the metrics have been set, the configurations have been done. So what you see on the screen are the outputs of what um, SOC analysts look at. The SOC manager, for example, could be looking at some particular APIs, some particular metrics, you know, um, like maybe the alert uh, metrics on the screen. Sometimes it could be patterns. Of course, it depends on what kind of organization it is, basically. And I don't know if you watched the movie like 24. I don't know. It was a very popular movie back in the days. And I think there was this popular actor, the main actor, Jack Bauer. Like if you watched that season, you'd that's what is typical SOC look like. So it's a centralized unit There's monitoring takes place, detection takes place. Um, we have incident responders there. And why are they doing all of that? To prevent cybersecurity threats, because threat actors will not announce to you and tell you we would attack you today or we are coming at 7 p.m. And of course, hackers can be can be outside, and when we can have loopholes, that vulnerabilities or weaknesses in the organization systems that can happen because an employee of the organization has clicked a malicious um, link or down if malicious uh, link or downloaded a malicious file, and of course all of those things, some sort of configurations and intrusion detection systems have been put in place to actually alert um, the SOC center if anything out of the ordinary is happening. So the SOC center is the frontline defense of an organization's IT security. And of course, you would find analysts there, you'll find engineers, you'll find incident responders. Like I said, um, the the monitoring and detection work, everything that happens there is always non-stop, 24/7. So they have the incident and events management tools, the security incident and event management tools. Very popular is the Microsoft's Sentinel. We have Splunk, and we have the threat intelligence, the tools that you can use to investigate and do research on different kinds of techniques and tactics that these actors use. You have playbooks as well. These are the guides, the step-by-step guides on the kind of responses or action and tasks that needs to happen if some specific kind of incident happens. And we touched on SOC roles and tier structure. We have the tier one SOC analysts, who is always the first line of monitoring and triage. They are, it's just like the people on the front line. You know, when you get to the hospital, uh, get to the emergency unit, um, the first staff that attends to you there is the frontline staff. They are usually the ones that would do the they take a quick down report or ask you the very first few questions that would help them to determine the next level. If they have to ask you to sit for a couple of hours, or if they feel that your situation is too critical, or maybe you need a quick surgery, all those. Yeah, that's how it is. Like, I'm just comparing to that to visiting an emergency center in the hospital. Your first point of contact, that's a tier one analyst. They get to see the alert first. Their work is on shift rotation. So the person that did the night shift would hand over to the person that is coming in for the morning shift. And of course, he would have also prepared every possible um, artifacts and reports that the person taking on the morning shift would need to look into before they also get into their own task for the day, because it's a continuous process. The tier two is incident responder. They do deeper investigation and containment. They they move from what they have received in terms of communication of the triage um, done by the tier one analyst into deeper investigation using specialized tools. And they also work on the containment. They are the ones that would um, go communicate with systems admins and give that information or instruction on what systems or servers that have been impacted and if they need to shut down some applications in the organization. It depends on whatever the issue is, but they do the investigation. We have the threat hunters. They work proactively. They look at the current incident and how they can prevent um, anything anything similar that could happen. They investigate. Do also carry out proactive investigation and findings on what the level of impact, the risk, and what preventive measures can be taken for any future occurrence. They also make use of biometric tools, and they use forensics, all every um, um, level of technology that would help them to proactively prevent any form of threat or detect any further threats coming in. And we have the SOC manager who oversees the operations, the staffing. Of course, is the one. He looks out for clear and accurate communication between the three levels. Of course, as a manager, if imagine any manager within an operations department, you would always be on your in your best possible headspace because everyone would look up to you um, for clarity and direction of travel, or clarity of direction of actions around tasks, who does what, who is responsible for what. And of course, as a SOC manager as well, you want to make sure that um, information is not lost and there's no duplication of information, there's no duplication of tasks, that everyone is working effectively. You also ensure um, escalation is done accurately. And what this also does is that it reduces any sort of alert fatigue. You know, sometimes when this alert happens, imagine if it's happening where you're working for the first time, and like it's like a massive one, and you're trying to still find your feet on how to be a first line of monitoring and triage as a SOC analyst, or you're an incident responder. You're trying to make sure that the incidents, when they were escalated to you, you've done the right thing by escalating to the next level, and you've put your reports together properly. The manager also encourages a collaborative behavior. You know, trust must be built in the team. You must be professional, respectful, and discussions should not leave any member of this tier out. There must be collaborative work and mindset, collaborative work going on, collaborative mindset. Because the manager must also encourage team culture, and it's also very easy for people to overstep their their role boundary. Overstepping or understepping, it is very, very possible. Um, of course, um, you're training to be a SOC analyst, and you eventually get a threat hunter role. You understand? And when you're on the role, you need to be mindful that you are not understepping or overstepping your role. It's always good the first time you get into the role, there's clarity of what your role is from the onset. And it also helps that you are able to reflect the understanding of the SOC structure. Um, Usually the first few weeks, because organizations are different, but there are just some things that are standard across. But I know there are some SOC teams that they have some of their monitoring done remotely where it comes to the 24 hours monitoring. That is why some SOC roles are still actually 9 to 5. You understand? 9 to 5 and you're done. But while you're gone, at some other locations, some other SOC analysts are doing the monitoring. You just need to understand team, um, your team culture, and how they work. So does why SOC why does it matter? So it's important that organizations are able to protect their assets, critical assets, and maintain business community. Imagine if an organization exists and there's no security measures in place, and they exist and they are making use of technology. One day, um, one day, nearer or in the future, there's a possibility that they could fall victim of a cyber attack because it's everywhere these days. Then the ability to detect and respond to threats in real time. We don't want that an incident has happened 5 days ago and you're just finding out as an organization. It doesn't really tell a lot about your security posture or how much you take security, how much of importance you make and you take security. And it's not good for the company as well because if a client, say for example, you're a software organization and a client's website has been down for 5 days and you don't know, you know. So it's important that there's a security operations process policy in place that, that is followed such that if there's any incident um, regarding um, your applications or the technology you work with or for the organizations that you serve, you are able to detect and respond in real time. Responding into threats in real time does not mean that you are actually able to solve it immediately. It's possible that you follow a process to resolving it. Sometimes resolution can be quick, and sometimes it can take 2, 3, 4 hours or more. But the most important thing is that you're able to put in some sort of mitigations in place, and your clients, the organizations that you serve, they can trust you. And the security operations center also matter because they are the bedrock of the organization's security formation because by the presence of the security operations center ensures that um, compliance with laws and regulatory requirements, uh, they are taken into consideration and they are being adhered to. We have different laws, GDPR, this the Data Protection Act. We have the 𝐂𝐈𝐓, which is for the health information. And that is, I think that is for the United States. We have, for example, we have the Cyber Essentials for UK. We have the check. We have all different compliance um, regulatory requirements. There's a lot of them. They for those ones that cover protection of digital uh, information and anything that is sensitive and critical. Um, there is a sensitive or critical asset of an organization. We also, yeah, it also matters because when we have incident metrics, for example, how many times within the last 6 months have we experienced a brute force attack? If we see that that is happening frequently, it will also guide our security policy, maybe a security policy for authentication. You understand? So every time an incident happens, we are able to we are able to get the metrics as well to check the frequency, to check if there are patterns, and it would also help the organization to build their security policy such that it's formidable and uh, um, it's helping to address or mitigate potential attack. So that is the security operations training tonight. I don't know if anyone has a question. Just before we go into the scenario for tonight, there's still some other things, but because I really want us to go through this scenario tonight, that's why I've put this in here so we don't get too engrossed with theoretical stuff. But let's see how practical we can be tonight. Any questions before we go on? Okay, I'll take silence as no questions. That means everything is clear and understood. Yeah. So here's the scenario. So I want that we really don't overthink this, but put ourselves in that shoe of a security analyst right now, someone who is also security aware. And I'll just break this down for you. So you have received an alert. You're just resuming your work, and you've received an alert from your SIEM tool. SIEM is a security and incident and event management tool. Okay, I mentioned earlier that Microsoft Sentinel is popular, and we have Splunk as well. Um, and what is happening is that there's been an excessive, please make sure you're following. If you have to take a pen and paper, there's an excessive failed login attempt from a single IP address targeting a privileged account. So I don't mind if you ask questions so that we can break this down. But if this is quite straightforward, uh, please let me know. So um, when you have an excessive failed login attempt, I don't know if anyone has attempted that. Like you are trying to log into a website and you are using the right username, but you're trying to you're attempting it with different passwords. Okay, so that's the scenario I am painting here. Username is correct, but you're trying different passwords. Why? Because you want to break into that account. And in fact, you're not just targeting a normal user account, you're targeting a privileged account. Does anybody know what a privileged account is here? A privileged account, anyone?
Is there an account that has like high level access?
Yes, fantastic. High level access. It would usually be like an admin account, you know, high level access, not just anyone in the organization has that. So if you've done a bit of reading about the different types of social engineering attacks, and honestly, you don't have to be in security to know that it's a very popular type of attack. What can anybody, let's try. What sort of attack would we call that? You can actually do a quick research where you are. This is part of the learning. What sort of attack would we call this? Excessive failed login attempts from a single IP address targeting a privileged account. Anyone? 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 Anyone?
I would say hacking, but I want to be sure.
Yeah, it's hacking. You're trying to hack, but there's a particular name for that kind of attack. Okay, I'm going to help. It starts with a B.
Or brute force attack.
Yes, yeah, that's it. Good. Yeah, that's it. We are getting there. So, it's potentially a brute force attack. So, I want you, like imagine you are a tier one analyst, you are monitoring an attack. You are monitoring the your SIM, your security incident and event management system, and you have seen this. Okay, I want you to gather your thoughts. How would you report this? You can type it in the chat. Now we have talking points here. We know it's a potential brute force attack. We know there are failed login attempts, and we know it's coming from a single IP address and it's targeting a privilege. We have like 4 or 5 talking points here. Are you able to put that together in like 3 or 4 sentences? You can type it out. If you want to say it, please do, but I want you to gather your thoughts and, make an attempt, put it in the chat. Because that's what it is like now. You are at your workplace. This is what you've seen. Your day one. Put it together. Okay, I'll give us like a couple of minutes to do that.
Sorry, just so I understand, you want us to report the attack.
Yes. Yes, I
So,
want you to report it. You need to write it out, write it like you want to report to um tier two analyst. Yeah. So that is you as a tier one analyst. You have that information, but you want to report it, put it together in your words, make use of the talking points that you have there. Yeah. So once you're done, you can read it out or you can put it in the chat that we can all discuss it. Okay.
mhm.
I think I wrote something on the chat. You can check.
Okay. Yeah, seen that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Who else is writing so that we can discuss everything together? Thanks, Chinam. So who else is here? Adewi, Ayomide. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's discuss this. Thank you, Oluwakemi. You said, okay, I'm suspecting a potential brute force attack arising from an excessive failed login attempts from a single IP address. Fantastic. that is good. And Chinom, so you said um, noticing a high volume of failed login attempts. Okay, 7 attempts within a short period of time, 10 minutes into XX privilege account. Please advise. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to send it back to both of you now. What um if I say spot the difference between the two, what are the things that are different between the two? You are both reporting the same thing, okay? And I'm just going to say one word, metrics, okay? So what's the difference between the two? You can unmute and speak.
𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐄𝐓 mentioned single IP address. I did not.
Okay, good. Um, yeah. So the metrics are very important. Um, so Kemi has mentioned, yeah, I'm expecting a potential this brute force attack. You know, the fact that you've been able to specify and say this is a potential brute force attack because, of course, if this wasn't there, this is a potential brute force attack. From a knowledge point of view, you are expected to know that, oh, this kind of behavior is a suspected brute force attack, which is fine. That's a tick for me, and I'm sure we all agree with that. And for um, so we have you've mentioned that brute force attack. You've both mentioned that, which is fine. And another different thing here is that Chin also mentioned she put the title at the top, which is important. You need to do that. You know, you need to do that. I know you're typing, but it's important. You need to do that. So, and you've talked about the high volume of login attempts. Do you know what? It's high volume, but please, you need to specify the number, 50, over 50, 100, because sometimes while you're looking at it, you're already seeing 50, but every 5 minutes, you are getting like 50. You understand? You have to specify because it's possible it's just happening at that instance. And they don't do these things manually. They use automation tools. They hit the server every now and then with those different passwords. Um, we have 7 attempts here within a short period of time. Then you said 10 minutes. Okay. So the specific time and minute is there. One thing is missing here again. If you, I don't know if you can see my screen on the message. I was trying to type in there. I put IP dash dash dash. Please, as when you're looking at the if your SIM tool, you should be able to trace the IP address where it's coming from. You probably, when you do apply some filter and all that, when you start to work in the lab on the SIM tool, you can filter, you can see the specific IP address that attack is coming from. So that is one. Another thing to report is, sometimes when these things happen, um, you also want to make sure that you don't go to report and then they're asking you, did you check for false positives? Does anybody know what a false positive mean? It looks like it, but it's not it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are also alerts that are triggered, but they are not actually malicious.
Yeah.
You understand? Sometimes detection tools can mistakenly flag them. So you must be able to filter this out quickly to avoid wasting time. and reduce any sort of alert fatigue. You know that. So recently, I noticed uh some I noticed because okay, there's been some rules that have been applied in application monitoring tool. I work specifically within the application security space. So this I saw the alerts and I was wondering where that was coming from, and it was in the production environment. Uh, no, it was in the staging environment. The staging environment is like a production environment, but the developers they deploy software applications into that on the staging servers, and they do stuff there before they move to the actual production environment. So I got to work, I saw the alert emails and all that. And I was thinking that there was nobody said anything about running any tests in the staging on the staging server. And it actually looks like a brute force attack, but of course, I eventually tracked it back to a developer. Okay, so this developer went for a training and he was trying to set up this security tool on the application in the staging server, and he was running that automated login test overnight. And it looked like a brute force attack, but it's a legitimate one. Why? Because the developer it was actually a staff who was running an automated test on the server. He was also running the test to check if it will break the login, functionality. So that's a false positive. Do you understand? Because it's possible for you to be a SOC analyst and you are able and have see this kind of failed login attempts coming in. It's very important that you are able to filter out a false positive. So if you're writing your report, you're able to put the report out to say, I checked for any false positive. So it validates that you have actually done a thorough investigation, you know. So it's part of it's part of the experience, and it's one of the skills. Like if you sit to think, okay, what as part of my role, what are the things that are like checklists for me if I see any alert? Okay, I'm able to identify the type of alert. I'm able to identify patterns, metrics. I'm able to locate the source. I'm able to identify the source, you know, because all the findings that I do will also help the incident responder to take that on board and carry out a deeper investigation. So um, that's how it works. So um, well done to everyone for the attempt. It's really good. And please make sure that this particular scenario, you are able to write a comprehensive report around it, okay, as part of the task that you would present to um, as part of the task that you present to DG in your next um, training, in your next presentation. Okay. There's also a place for you to add to that information that um, I've checked for all false positives, and I can verify that these are not false positives. I've checked for patterns. And these are what I've seen. Your metrics and all that will form part of the pattern. Is that brute force attack? Is it happening every 5 minutes? Is it happening every 10 minutes? Or is it happening within a particular period? The timestamp, do you understand? Then you can now round up to say, this has been escalated to tier 2, an event has been logged. Okay, that this an incident has happened, and I've logged this as an event. Then there's also what we call indicators of compromise. Who knows what that means? You are still going to get to that part where you have some theoretical training about who knows what indicators of compromise. You know what it means.
think
Anyone?
so. Like compromise means there is like is it like a vulnerability kind of? So an indicator is something that gives a hint that
A clue.
there's kind of something wrong.
Yeah, yeah. In simple terms, thank you. You're able to observe that something is not right, something is wrong. They are what you can observe, indicators of compromise. For example, um, the IP address. IP address is a type of an indicator of compromise. You can, that one, if you know the IP address, you can look it up in one of the OSINT tool. You're going to be shown how to use that. I'm just trying to set the stage for you. You can go, we have virus total, who is lookup. We have all those tools. You can look up the IP address to find out the source, where is it coming from? Okay, oh, this IP address is coming from, I don't want to mention the name of the country, but it starts with R, and you live in the US of A. Of course, you know that something, it raises a flag, especially because if you've had incidents and hacking history, sources coming from there, it's coming from somewhere, Colombia, what you understand? All those, there are some countries that are just known for um hacking. So of course, that's an indicator of compromise. Sometimes the domain name, you know, 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓.com. If you see that as part of your investigation, of course, you would flag that, in your report. If you try to be as imaginative as possible, what could possibly be an indicator of compromise? And there are different types. You could have um, the domain name, even the email address, the way the email address looks, you know, um, even file name. During your investigation, you see it's a particular file name. That file name looks fake. Like you understand. So sometimes you will be able to detect uh that. So when you have all this in the if you're able to identify the different types of indicator of compromise, there is a long list. So what I've said is not an exhaustive list. You'll be able, they allow you to detect and respond to threats quickly, and any sort of threat hunting that happens within the SOC operations, they help they help that process. Okay, so if imagine you are a tier 2 stock analyst. Now you've received this information from a tier 1 um, SOC analyst, and what would you put together in writing? Let's have another task. What would you put together in writing as a tier two incident um, response? Yeah, analyst. So you've received this information we've put into, let me put my, yeah, the one I put in there. I was trying to start. This information that you've gotten from the tier one SOC analyst. So as a tier two SOC analyst, don't forget that you do deeper investigation. All right. You do deeper investigation. So uh, the initial alert handling has taken place. Now it's your turn as the person who does deeper investigation and validation of the threat. So what do you think you would be looking at? Put it together. I'll give you 3 minutes.
Sorry. Are we also looking for tests like
What's the question?
the analysis
Yeah,
we
okay, yeah. Just put whatever. You know what? We are not looking for right or wrong answer here, but what we are looking for is our thought process, our understanding of what each of the role tiers, what they do. And by the time you put these things together, I will tell you there's no way you'd forget if you get into an interview because
oh,
we are going to discuss all of it here. Here.
okay, that's fine. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anyone?
I think
Okay. Okay, I've seen something from you. So very okay. So okay, the heading analysis of
that's
a
the title, analysis of potential brute force
yeah,
attack. You said we are going to be
title.
putting
Yeah,
title. Yeah.
it's
So that's
important.
the
Yeah.
title. So these are
So
the analyses I feel who the
Okay.
person with the
So the level of access of a privileged account will be analyzed. Further analysis of potential attack as a false positive or not. Identification of the IP address under suspected attack. Yeah, good. Follow up on escalated suspicious activity. Observe certain IOCs, single IP address from a different geographical location, suspicious email address. Okay, okay. So thank you so much. Who else is sending? Was it
I'm still typing. I'm still typing.
Okay, we'll wait for you.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll
Thank you.
wait for you so that we can review
Yeah.
together. So
I've sent it. I've sent mine. Hi, I'm done. Done.
all right, great, thank you. Yes, so great. So it's good that we have this. Um, I'm glad that we have touched on some of the things that, based on this discussion we've had about the tier one, you've actually moved on to say, okay, yes, this is the title. This is I've done an analysis, the level of access of the privileged account, which is quite important. Um, so that check you're doing for the privileged account, Oluwakemi, is because,
yes.
yeah, is because it's a privileged account is a very critical one to the organization, because if that brute force attack is successful, it could cause a lot of damage on
Damage.
the, yeah. So you analyzing the you've been able to identify and kind of you're looking into that, and I think it's part of what your analysis is, your further analysis is. You're also looking at okay, you've talked on false positive. Okay, the tier one has done has cleared the false positive. So I would expect that you trust the tier one analyst. Okay, you would not,
Okay.
you probably don't want to check that again. You
Okay.
understand? Because there must be trust in the team. But of
Okay.
course, you can decide to check it, but it's not like a core part that you need to check. The
Okay.
identification of the IP address. Now, you now want to go deeper to analyze that IP address. You would want to use the 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓 tool to show you where that IP address originates from. Is it a high-risk geolocation with prior abuse reports? That's why you would want to do a further analysis on the IP address. I'm glad you touched on that you identify the IP address and do a further analysis on it, which is fine. Shinnom, so you said, okay, following up on escalated suspicious activity now, observing certain IOCs, which is fine. So that single IP address, yeah, from a different geographical location where we do not have a presence. Oh, I like that. You are thinking, okay, my organization is a big organization. We are all over the world, but of course, this attack is coming from, you've analyzed it and checked. Okay, you can see that, oh, we do not have a presence in this geographical location. So it calls for, you understand, it calls for deeper investigation. You understand? Because, like I said, that at my workplace, the developer was running an automated test in a staging environment. You understand? Aha. So, okay, we don't have it. It's very thoughtful.
Amen.
Yeah, to look at that and just clarify, okay, part of the investigation. And then part of your deeper investigation, you found out that, oh, there's a suspicious email address linking to that as well. By the time you are running the 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓 on the IP and looking at maybe all those reports about prior abuse or risk levels of IP addresses, you will get quite a lot of information from there. And there's also a tool that is a user and entity behavior analytics. So it would also note if there's a deviation from a user's normal login pattern or usual time or IP location. If, for example, the attempt, a login attempt is coming from maybe a location that the organization is present, you know, um, you would want to check for the pattern. You understand? The same thing if it's just from a random IP address, you want to check. In fact, sometimes you would even want to check as far back, maybe a couple of days before, if that has happened or if you've missed it. Don't forget you are tier two, you want to do deeper investigation. All right. So, and you analyze further, and you've seen that there was no further access, or after that particular period, nothing has happened. Then Ayomide, you also mentioned the false positives. Okay, I've already commented on that. Um, there was no access to the system. Okay, yeah. So I mentioned something. I said timestamp, and the reason why I mentioned timestamp is if you attended the first class, I taught log analysis, how to analyze a log. As a tier two, one of the things that you would need to do is to pull the authentication logs. You know that every time any activity that we perform on on an application or system, it goes into an event log. So everything we do is an event on the system. So as a tier two, you can, as part of your investigation, you can pull up the authentication logs to confirm the behavior. The who is lookup tool will reveal a suspicious origin. Okay. It will also reveal user if the user behavior is unusual, and it will confirm it as a malicious attempt. All right. So your report will just summarize. I pulled up the authentication logs to confirm the behavior. I made use of the who is lookup tool to check for patterns, to check for the origin of the IP address, to check for unusual behavior of the user. And I also did an analysis of the logs to get my analysis of the logs together with my investigation using checking the IP addresses, A, B, C, D, and all that confirms that this is a malicious attempt. Okay. The other tools, well, we've not talked on that. We've got the MITRE attack framework. So it helps you to confirm that the technique that's being used is T11110 brute force. I think that's it, and I've confirmed this activity with my findings, and it's a true positive. You understand? You are validating you at your level, tier two, you are validating that I can confirm it is a malicious attempt. And I've updated, don't forget that tier one logged it. Now, as tier two, I will have to update that incident ticket and add the full context of my findings as well. And once I've done that, what do? I move it to tier three for containment and remediation. Okay. So, containment and remediation. So, assuming you are a tier three, I hope you are going to show up for the next class. I hope you're enjoying this class. Or should I leave you to do your investigation on
Okay.
tier three? Should I leave you to do your investigation on the tier three and write it up and put it in
Let's
the chat?
try.
Okay, you want to try? Fantastic. Okay, let's try. As a tier three analyst, you are going to be working on the containment and threat hunting. So, what would you put together? What would you put together?
Containment of what?
Containment of the suspected incident that has been logged by tier one and tier two.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll give you 3 minutes. Yeah, just to give a bit of a hint. So the role of containment is to ensure that there's no further threats, um, and to limit any damage, that's been done by this particular threat, um, before it affects other systems or it moves on to another privileged account. They call it lateral movement. So that is an attacker moving from one machine to the other. So that's what containment does. And yeah, all right. Okay, I see. So Kemi said containment and threat hunting block the source IP address to stop incoming traffic here and block the account to prevent further login attempts. Yep. Check the network to see whether the account is experiencing failed multiple account login. Okay, to see whether any other account. Yes, that is spot on. So that's what the tier 3. So you can imagine, like, depending on the kind of attack that or incident that has happened, that's how it works. If you understand the role of tier 1, you understand the role of tier 2, you understand the role of tier 3, you definitely have your story done around anything with being a SOC analyst. Yeah, I can see more. Thank you, Chinlom. So following the confirmation of the occurrence of a true brute force, attack on excess privilege account, the following steps have been taken: block or lock or suspend the account with further notice, notify the account holder to withhold information from suspicious credential request, yes, or change their password. You understand? Uh, Reverse trace the suspicious account IP address to disrupt their operation. Yeah, okay, reverse, okay, yeah. Report to security departments. Then, depending on the nature of the attack, block related attack. Yeah, containment. Like, I don't know how many times your mentor Esther has been blocking. Out. Esther, are you here? She's been blocking accounts, you know, on our home server. Like,
I'm here.
yes, yeah. So she's a level 3 something like this. My, yeah. So it's important that you understand. Yeah, this is your inspiration is from movies. If you watch 24, that movie a lot. If you watch seen that movie several times, or so I love watching American movies, and especially when it comes to when they paid security or whatever, uh, the good is on the move, what are the security guys doing, all those things. Yeah, yeah. So you even, of course, if you watch since a movie, the first time, yeah, when they say, oh, the White House has been attacked or something, you know what they do? The first person they want to contain is the president. Yeah, to limit further damage. The first person they get out of danger. Yeah, so that's it. So the account involving the potential brute has been temporarily locked, and the source IP is being monitored, after we inform the user about the brute force attempt. Yeah, yeah, everything you've said here makes a lot of sense. So, and yeah, good. Finally, let's see who wants to uh do the what's it called now? Um, Actually,
Is
the
that
incident response can also do some part of containment, to be honest. For their roles can kind of how do I put it? They can depend on each other, but the level at which they can contain, that's what makes the difference. The level, because the access levels will be different. One person can apply the containment to a particular for a particular system access level, and the other can do more. Then the threat hunting, they would be able to identify any um, potential, if there are other threats to, the systems. What is hiding somewhere? Search for threats. You, but sometimes some of these attacks can bypass some traditional security tools, and the hackers are so sophisticated now that they can do it quietly. It's In fact, it might even be difficult to find any obvious indicator of compromise before the attack becomes a full blown incident. So, for SOC manager who oversees the operation, staffing and KPIs. All right. Yeah. So, as a SOC manager, of course, that has happened. All these things, this incident has happened in a single day, at work. I'll leave that to everyone to put all these responses together. Like, what I'm looking for is that from this class tonight, you are able to, like, tell your story. Um, Tell your story from tier one analyst to tier two to tier three to SOC manager. And while you're telling that story, what you find out that will come out from it, which I want you to be able to do, is to eventually list the roles of a SOC analyst for each of these tiers. Like, um, I mean the job roles. What tier one, under your job description, what do you have there? Okay. Tier two, under your job description, what do you have there? Tier three, under your job description, what do you have there? And then you also do work on the scenarios. So tell the story and tie it to each other. I will tell you, it will be like your own playbook for any SOC interview that you're going for. If you can tell that story, and of course, I will tell you, as the training continues, what you find out is you go back to that document that you have produced. That will be your own playbook. You'll be able to refine it over and over again. You understand? You continue to refine as you are learning, you continue to refine it over and over again, because you are now adding more knowledge of what you're doing hands-on to be able to tell that story. So your PowerPoint for your presentation on Monday must be really tight, as in, because you have an understanding. It's like, this is all what this course at this level is about. The rest are tools, concepts, what you need to know. But if you understand that if I get on this road on day one, do I know what I'm supposed to do? Or if I happen to work with compliance team or GRC, and I need to speak with the guys in operations, I have an understanding of what their role involves. Do you understand? So, this activity will also, like I said, build your own SOC map. Like, I can quickly do this. I think I'll have to stop sharing here and open I think I opened I don't know if anyone knows how to use Draw.io. Yeah, yeah, you can always use it for. Oh, yeah, okay, I think I did this sometime. Okay, I'll quickly share my screen so you see. So can you see my screen? So this is mine. You have to go and do your own. Oh, you need to impress Deji. You need to impress Deji, not me. Of course, I know that we have very fantastic and brilliant people in this class, and I've enjoyed the class myself, and I know that we understand what the SOC operations involve. So you need to produce your SOC map, okay, and title it. So once you've done it, do your investigation. Just type in, use a text box to type in the tools that are likely tools that the tier one would use here, tier two, tier three. I will tell you, if you do this activity end to end and also highlighting the roles and also working on that scenario, like you're telling the story of what happens through this escalation part, tier one, tier two, tier three. The SOC manager is a bonus one. If you want to do it, please feel free to do it. But I really want that we understand the roles played by each of this level. Let me see if I can open a new one. I'll open a blank. It's free. And once you've done it, just take a screen grab of it and put it in your PowerPoint. So all I'm doing is just, oh, what have I done? There's my Draw.io. So all I'm doing is to, you see, just, you can copy and paste and paste and just move, yeah, move, okay, and put your labels in there. You can fill in with text. Um, no, okay, that's not, let me do answer. So you click on text here and just double tap and just say tier one. And of course, you can change your font depending on what you want. What have I done? Okay. So you can give the style, whatever you want to make it bigger, just add your text box and create your SOC map. Um, where's the other page that I did? Create your SOC map. Where's my page one? Okay. So that's the first one. Okay, that's the other one that I did. Leaving this. I'm coming here. Yeah, so you just if you want to use the arrow, depending on how you want to, just click. Oh, I have to move. I'm using a touch screen. So just need to draw your arrow down. No, I don't need you there. You can be a bit clumsy, but once you get used to it, you see, I've just done that. So I'm going to copy and paste and drag it up. So if I do copy and paste here, I can drag it up. So you just need to do your sock map. Then you can add your text here. Please make it more beautiful than what I'm doing here. I'm just using my finger to tap and do all this right now. So do your sub and place your escalation yeah. So you can place your escalation path at the top here, like what I showed earlier. You can place escalation path. So let me undo. We can paste the escalation path here. Let me see what can we use to put that. Yeah, just draw an arrow. Any of these components, yeah. Could do a bi-directional arrow. You could use one. Hoping this works. So my cursor is I'm trying to do. So I will of course, you know what I want to do here. Just rotate it to get your this is blocking my view. So you can rotate.
Put the arrow from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3.
Yeah, however, yeah.
Level of escalation.
Yes, yeah. However you want to do it, but as long as it represents the flow.
Okay.
As long as it represents the flow. Yeah. This is what I'm trying to do. So I've distorted this a bit. Just yeah. So this can be reduced. My cursor is not working. I'm just touching my screen to do this. So you understand, yeah. And add your text in here. Make it beautiful. Let it tell the story. Of course, the idea is to be able to represent, yeah, the idea is to be able to represent. I don't know if you can see my PowerPoint screen now.
No,
Yeah.
not yet.
Okay, that means I wasn't sharing that one. So, okay, I'm not entirely sharing my, okay. So the idea is to be able to represent your SOC map, build your SOC map. So one for your Scrum Master, there's going to be a user story to ask you to build your SOC map. Okay, that is a task. Add arrows showing escalation path. Label tools at each tier. Then save and screenshot your SOC map. And then that is the step 1 to 5. Then list the roles of a SOC analyst, the roles and the job description of a SOC analyst for each of the tiers. You understand? You know what that means? That means you're going to have to do your research as well. And based on what we've learned in the class, you're going to put that together. Then you now go back to this scenario, this scenario here. Where's my scenario? Yeah, this is another story that you put or your Scrum Master will put together with the help of your BA. And if you can do it yourself, yeah, you can put it together, tell the story, and for each of the tiers, what are your responsibilities? What have you done? So it has to be narrative, what you have done. Like, this is me, I'm at work, I've received this alert on my SIM 2. I'm writing my report for tier 1 because I need tier 2 to pick it up. Tier 2 picks it up, they write theirs, they pick it up, tier 3. So you're just telling the story of what happens with this kind of incident within the SOC operations. Any questions?
Sorry, please, can you move to, I think, the second to the last slide, the one that has the 3
Yep.
okay. So the manager is he's not
The
under
manager
the
there's a SOC manager manages everything in the SOC team.
okay.
Yeah.
So should we add it to our
Yeah.
map?
Add it to your map. Add it to your
But
map.
the roles
Yeah.
will not be on the map, right? It will be
No,
separate.
yeah. The roles will be separate. What will be on the map? The map
It's just the
structure, the
and the
tools,
tool.
tools, the direction of escalation.
Does it have a minimal number of tools that we can list?
List all the tools that you've been able to find out. I've talked
Okay.
about SIM, tier 1. They pick up from the SIM, then they log it. Where do they log the incidents? They use a tool. You understand? They can log it in the same tool as well because it's central. Everybody can have access to it. But of course, the level of accesses on the same tool will also be different. You understand? Then there are some other tools, or the OSINT tools, where the WHOIS lookup, virus total, MX toolbox, all those tools that are open source tools that can be used to investigate. Do your investigation, put them together. You understand? Over time, as we continue, you will begin to refine that because that will be your own playbook for the SOC analyst role. I mean, like, you would know it back to back because it is your document.
Okay. Then let me ask this question. Like tonight, about 3 of us, we reported the incident, the attack differently. So the most important thing is the keywords there, right? As
Yeah.
the SOC analyst, whether tier 1, tier 2, it's not necessary that you should report it the same way. But the reason is that must have the IOC and there must be the keywords that are needed to pass the information. Is that right?
Yes, that is right. But make sure that you've taken on board the feedback as well.
Okay.
Yeah, taking on board the feedback. Like you are now taking responses from 3 people together with my feedback and whatever research you've done to put everything together. Please, if you are putting them together, you need me to check, or you need Esther or to see anybody, please just tag me, or tag any one of us to help you have a quick review. You understand? Because we'll still review when you do your presentation. You understand?
Okay.
But we want you to put it together, like the experts that you have. You understand? At this, yeah. So is everybody happy with the So with
I just
tonight's
want to ask